Hello everybody, this is Havoc and welcome back to Prehistoric Kingdom. First and foremost, thank you so much for showing up today. I do appreciate it, and I hope you are excited for this episode. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But first and foremost, it's been mentioned in the comments a few times, amongst other things, but I finally have a very simple and quite obvious name for the park. It's nothing fancy, it's nothing incredibly special, but most importantly, I didn't want it to be just about me. So there is no me in it. We are simply calling this the Prehistoric Preserve, because I do think with my goals of land preservation, of trying to focus on animal welfare specifically, in this early access stage anyways, that the preserve has, the preservation aspect has been quite obvious, has been mentioned a few times in the comments, and so I just thought it was a natural evolutionary step, as it were. So you are looking at the Prehistoric Preserve. I know, again, the name is quite basic, but I still like it. I think it accomplishes everything. Today is going to be another paddock episode. As I mentioned several times, we are ranging between paddock and non-paddock related things. The bridge was obviously our last non-paddock, and I do appreciate the comments there. Someone had mentioned that these steps seem a little unrealistic, and I understand that. It was a good point that was raised. However, considering the complexity of the object and not being able to select everything just to shift it down, I am gonna just keep it because it's simpler that way, and I don't have to worry about messing up the rest of the structure. So it'll just be something that the people will have to be really excited for to get over here. But we'll talk about that in the next episode, not this one. Today, our paddock video is going to be rather short. Our educational segment may span the entire length of the paddock design, because the paddock's not going to be that complex. Today we are going to look at the PSITTACOSAURUS. Now, I know what you're thinking. If you know anything about the PSITTACOSAURUS, you'll know it is another ceratopsian. We have one ceratopsian, we have two ceratopsian, but I want to take a look at our list of animals so I can tell you what's going on. So if we open up our nursery menu and we go over here by time period, you'll notice that all of our Cretaceous animals are ceratopsians. That's just the dice that was rolled for me. So it is unfortunate because we are keeping with solely the ceratopsians for the time being. But the other thing that has to be mentioned is that the guys that we unlocked at the beginning, while the Pseudoceratops is a 2-star, the Protoceratops is a 1-star, and the PSITTACOSAURUS is another 1-star. What we're gonna have to end up doing is that our next paddock videos will be with our Styracosaurus or our Pachyrhinosaurus, and in which case both of these I do believe are 3-starred animals. So keeping that in mind, I think what we might end up doing is we may end up doing, I think these guys have relatively the same climate, relatively the same. We may do a couple of paddock designs inside of the same episode, because for instance, the Pachyrhinosaurus paratorum is one that only lived in temperate and or boreal. So we may do, or boreal, however you want to say it. So what we might do is our big giant paddock design over here, which will have mostly, I have a structural design that is quite relevant to all of our dinos in the Cretaceous. But I might have a smaller Pachyrhinosaurus, boreal, however you want to say it, guy that kind of sets him apart. Heck, we may even do it over here. I don't know. But I think it's relevant, and what we're trying to do is essentially bring up our park management level, or our park rating, to then unlock some more Edmontosauruses and our Parasaurolophuses and things of that nature. So note that the ceratopsians are just a bit of a dice roll for us in that regard, because that's just kind of how the dice rolled for me. But guys, again, this will be a shorter one because this is a rather small paddock, and of course I will come back to you at the end of the episode to go over it, and hope that you enjoyed the educational segment. But before we get into the educational segment, I want to say a big thank you for being here. And of course, you know how to engage that YouTube algorithm by liking the video, by subscribing to the channel, turning on notifications. Commenting does fantastic. It can even be this was a good episode. It doesn't have to be much, but the engagement is just what YouTube cares about, not the content of said engagement. But please, obviously, keep it constructive, keep it positive, because that's what we're all about here. And then last but not least, I am working on the YouTube benefits for becoming a YouTube member. So that's always a way you can low-key subscribe to the channel financially and support us. I really do appreciate it, but it's never, ever expected. With that out of the way, let's dive into the PSITTACOSAURUS habitat paddock, and as well with our educational segment. See you there. The PSITTACOSAURUS lived in the Cretaceous circa 120 to 100 million years ago, dating itself significantly earlier into the Cretaceous than what we've seen so far in our park. Fossilized remains have been found in several areas of the Eastern Hemisphere, from the north in Siberia to Mongolia into China and even further south in Thailand. PSITTACOSAURUS translates to parrot lizard, named due to the anterior region of its skull resembling a parrot's beak, which would have been used to shear through the tough plants of its Cretaceous habitat, from dense forests to swamps and even coastlines, depending of course in the region the species was found. It also features prominent horns jutting out the sides of its skull, with several species also having a horn behind each eye. Many of the species of this bipedal dinosaur also had quills along their tail, with a few excavations having preserved such tail structures in great detail. The PSITTACOSAURUS was also a relatively small creature, with records reaching a maximum of 6 to 6.5 feet long from head to tail, reaching somewhere around 2 feet tall. While not exhibiting all the more well-defined characteristics of other ceratopsians, it does indeed fall into the family of these multi-horned creatures, albeit much more primitive and lacking a prominent frill. What's most interesting about the PSITTACOSAURUS is that there have been over 400 of these dinosaurs uncovered at dig sites, with 17 different species discovered between them all, from nests of unhatched eggs, early development cycles, all the way through adulthood. While the Protoceratops in our last paddock may be one of the most well documented, I do not believe that any dinosaur comes close to the scale of documentation of the PSITTACOSAURUS. This is a delightfully small but wildly variant species of Cretaceous dinosaur that graces our park. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we have it. It's nothing fancy. Like I said, the PSITTACOSAURUS's habitat is pretty straightforward. The heavily forested theory anyways resounds pretty well within the temperate biome that we have within Prehistoric Kingdom itself, the game. And so I thought I would create as much of a forested area as I could, while still also presenting a way for people to see the animals. Now, of course, I didn't really think to add the lights and stuff. Don't know why, or even the sites, the benches. I kind of goofed up on this one. That's okay. Sometimes my paddocks won't be as thoroughly well thought out as possible. But I still think it accomplishes everything very, very well. We do have our waterfall here coming out of the bridge, which I thought was kind of a cool aspect where people will hopefully not climb on this. We're just going to assume people are on their best behaviors here, at least until kids are introduced. But I still think it looks pretty daggum good. We are within our parameters. Now we only need 1,000 meters squared. So the fact that we have almost 3,200, I think we're gonna be able to fit quite a few variations of dinos in here. So what we are going to spend the rest of today doing is checking out our PSITTACOSAURUses and getting them in the paddock, getting our designs done and all of that sort. Now we do have the PSITTACOSAURUS with the truffle, which is the, I don't know what SP means. I don't know if that means Spanish or just SP is the type of the species. We have our Gleam, which is the Mongoliensis, excuse me. And then we also have the Seashell, which is Sibiricus, so it's in the Siberian area. Obviously this is Mongolia, and I'm not honestly sure what this is representative of. I do love the Seashell look the best. I think it looks like a very, very gorgeous creature. That's not to say these don't, but I think it's a combination of these crazy awesome horns along with just the gradation of the animal overall. But we are going to go ahead and we're going to do a variety like we always do. So again, one male for every couple of females I think is relatively doable. Well, actually, that's fine. And then for Seashell, we're going to give it another male and then several females as well. Now, hopefully, the overcrowding isn't too terribly bad. We can have 35% exhibit overcrowding, so that's not bad. And then as you see here with the exhibit, we could have done coastal or wetland with these guys. I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be okay. If they aren't, then we may have to remove the Seashell. But I wanted that forest, and I know there's a variation, obviously, but I think it will be. I think it'll be all right. We'll just have to see, because they do have some very wild variations here. And if that's the case, then we will go ahead and remove and do only the SP, because this is not a bad-looking creature either. We're going to speed up time just to see if it really does. You know what? I'm afraid it really will matter. So we are only going to do these boyos. I would hate to mess things up. There we go. We'll get those guys running, literally, as he's running here. But you can see how small he is. Isn't he just super duper cute? I am very, very impressed with how the dinosaurs look in this game. Aha, I see what they're doing. That's a brilliant way to show how your exhibit overcrowding is. Cool, well, let's select all. Let's release those 8 animals over into our exhibit. There we go. I do believe Nigel will come in.
Now this little fella is a Psittacosaurus. Just like other ceratopsians, Psittacosaurus is a herbivore, but its sharp beak and simple jaws are better suited to tough plant material such as nuts or seed. A word of advice though, be wary of that beak. They're a little nippy.
Well, thank you, Nigel. I do appreciate it. They don't look too shabby. They're a little bit bigger than I thought. I'm not gonna lie. But it does look like they are rather enjoying themselves. And of course, as what we always have to do, is we have to figure out a way. I can see why the forest biome suits them well. They do blend in rather spectacularly. And for that, I'm very thankful for. Who knows? We may have a couple of PSITTACOSAURUS exhibits. They don't require much. I think they'd be a rather low maintenance creature. You know, maybe we'll do something here with the other 2 variations. I think it'd be, again, that whole idea of creating a calming experience for the kids before they hit the big stuff, I think is just so crucially important that we can't ignore We can't ignore the children, even though they aren't in the game yet. I just think it'd be a great way to show off species variation, while also making some rather cute little dinos. And I also can't wait for guest interactions. Look at this dude. Fantastic looking mustache, dude. But I think it'll go a long ways towards, you know, a sense of immersion where we have children in, have guest interaction, which I know is on the list of things to accomplish. What I'm really looking for here is we have a 78% habitat. What are we missing I guess is the question. There are other biomes in here that we need to remove, and I think that's what's limiting our potential. Now, of course, there is all of the nature things. I know we've got some plants in here that certainly don't belong, and I think that's what's going on. Yep. There's a lot of those boyos. Okay. Oh, nope. Nope. I don't think we're going to be able to get to them. This is another thing that I kind of hope gets fixed in the future. Is the fact that, like, I can't reach that stuff. Not without endangering the welfare of everything. But you can see we are pretty much right at the edge of everything that we need. 78% may just be how much it goes.
Findings, we were able to restore this creature to a high degree of genetic accuracy, right down to the quills and coloration in some of its species.
I think that's one of the best parts about this dinosaur, is that it's the small ones that seem to be really, really thoroughly well found and researched. And so the fact that this creature isn't so much a guess, I guess you could say, but rather we have 400 over 17 species, 400 confirmed skeletons that can really give us a look into the PSITTACOSAURUS. I guess that is, I think, a PSITTACOSAURUS, just of how I pronounce things. But just the fact that we have that variation is just really, really incredible. Are you making a poop? You sure are. Hey, at least you're doing it right next to the mound, right? But that's what I think I love about the fact that some of these smaller creatures seem insignificant, but it's because of these creatures that we are able to get a more accurate look into the life, into the era of these dinosaurs, and just the dinosaur era. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? And that's an adorable picture. Oh, well, the parrot aspect was really cute. I'm going to keep looking for a picture that I think would be suitable for the thumbnail. I also love the camera controls. The camera controls are very, very crucial for the success of thumbnails, and I think they do a fantastic job. Are we going to lay down here, or are we just going to creep like this? I think we're just going to creep. I do love even just the small head knocks remind me of a parrot. I think they've really, really nailed that piece too. Oh, you're making the poop too. That's gross. That's gross, guys. Come on. Keep it civil. I'm just trying to look for, like, the exact right area. Oh, that was... You might just be it. You might just be it, you magnificent creature, you. Everything about this shot is pretty well spot on. The shade looks fantastic. It's going to... Whoa. It's reducing those harsh shadows, so we get a really good view of the creature as a whole. Oh my word, what is going on with the camera? The composition looked really, really good. I don't think we have to look over here while the dude's eating. But even that shot is really good. He would just look his head towards me. That'd be fantastic. I think he's a little bit camera shy. I think he is. Are we all going to go for a swim? Because that would look great if we had a sort of herd mentality. think they just really like swimming in the water. Of course, that won't work for a thumbnail, though. I also just like admiring these creatures. I think it's crucial to not just have a Let's Play campaign that's just full of builds and productivity. I think sometimes you kind of have to just sit and enjoy things a lot. Are you gonna yawn again? You gonna do something cool? You're just gonna look at me. You're just gonna look at me, aren't you? Do you want to get up and do something? Your friends are over there. They're saying, hey, come on. Come on, man. Let's have some fun. They do have some rather bland expressions, I'll tell you that. That dude's just staring at a tree. Come on, do something. I like that. We might roll with that one. I'm not sure. But it's also cool. I like the thing about early access, especially with this game, is that things may seem rather basic now. But with everything they have planned, and I'm thinking of doing a roadmap video, I think it'll be really, really great and really turn this whole idea of the park into something that is rather magnificent and well on the scale of Jurassic World Evolution. So I'm really looking forward to development, and I hope that they are financially successful enough to really pour into the game like they want to. I think these guys are just camera shy. I think that's what it is. They just don't want to look at it, which is understandable. You're a rather small creature, and some dude's popping in your face with the camera. I wouldn't want to be part of that. I'd want to say a big ol' no thanks. All right. Oh, nope, didn't want to do that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think they are well enough off. 78% isn't fantastic, but we do have a lot of plants that I can't remove for one reason or the other. And I think that's the biggest hindrance right now, is the fact, well, let's do this. Let's see if I can't just do tree removal. And just remove some of the foliage within this area. If we can do that, then it's very possible that this will change how everything else goes. And then we'll come back in. I think I'll probably end up coming back in and putting some more foliage things in here. We could even like reduce the bamboo, because if I'm going to have to put in some more things to satiate these dinos, I think we were pretty much at our max point. We're at 80%, so that was a small increase. I did only use temperate, so we'll have to figure it out.
Just looking at its face, you might not realize that this was one of the first ceratopsians. It may lack a frill and forward-projecting horns, but you can still see the resemblance in its strong beak and its cheek horns.
Nigel, what you don't know is that I've already taught my audience that. So I do appreciate you, for sure. Don't feel like that is an appreciation. But they definitely already knew that from our educational segment. Guys, I'm gonna be done. I've admired the animals as much as I can, or as much as I feel is appropriate for an episode. This is one version of these boyos. Like I said, I really feel like we could probably fill this area out and have another ceratopsian. And in fact, we may label this the Ceratopsian Center or something to that effect, to basically let people know, hey, there's a lot of things going on right here, but they're all related to the ceratopsians. I think that would be actually a pretty smart move, just to keep people in the know. And signage and things of that nature are going to be in the other side of the opposites of the non-paddock related things. And I have big plans. There's lots of things I have in my brain that I want to do for the park as a whole. But overall, I think it's coming together quite nicely. This is still a rather compact park. We haven't really expanded out. And guys, we have so much land, but at the same time, I really do feel like we'll be able to fill it out. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do all the things that you know how to do. Give it a like, subscribe to the channel, become a YouTube member, comment, share the video, do all of those things. They are so incredibly helpful. Thank you for hanging out with me as we built the PSITTACOSAURus. I'm still gonna call it PSITTACOSAURus paddock. I think it looks great. I think they're doing well enough for the parameters that I have set. And yeah, we will continue the prehistoric preserve in the next episode. This is Havoc, and I'll see you later.
These are nature's greatest creations. This is your park. This is Prehistoric Kingdom.